Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to test out and review this portable AC unit with 6,000 BTUs and take it camping in around 100-degree weather. It's hot here in Texas. And finally, I'll put it in one of my bedrooms and see how well it does there. So this is the unit. It is honestly pretty good looking. It kind of looks like a center console in like a Tahoe or something like that with these two different vents. And I really like how you can point them separately from each other. This is the intake for the condenser. Turn it around. This is the exhaust and intake for the compressor. This is the control panel. And then we have a little storage bin right up here that we can put the remote and other pieces in. And of course it comes with two hoses for the exhaust and intake, the power inverter, the drain tube, the adapter for these two hoses, and finally this to clip on here, and you can connect the hose to and route it wherever you want it to go. Since we will be using it in our camper van, we need to create a window exhaust port and intake. So I've already created this window shade, so I'm going to use this as a template. That looks pretty good. As planned, I put the unit in the driver's seat. Hose is going out the window. I have it plugged in. Now let's turn it on. Nice. Let this kick on. I do want to mention it is 100 degrees outside and the van is sitting in the sun. Press this button to change the settings. So right now we are on AC, dehumidifier, nighttime, and back to AC. We'll let this sit. I'll be back to test to see what temperature is at. As you can see, it is pretty dang hot out here. It's been about 10 minutes and it does feel a lot cooler in this van. But another thing I do want to mention, although this van is pretty nicely insulated, I have to insulate behind all these walls, it has a lot of windows. With the sun beating straight to that window, this AC unit is competing with some extreme heat. It was 112 degrees in this van when we started. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time and see where we're at. So the camping trip went pretty great. Outside temperature was about 100 degrees. The temperature in the van was about 86, 87 degrees. So that is roughly 15 degrees cooler. When we woke up the next morning, the outside temperature was 86 degrees and it was 69 degrees inside the van. So it was pretty chilly and very comfortable. Overall, the camping trip was successful, but I want to do another test and try to do it better. So this is the current setup. We have a thick piece of Thinsulate insulating the front of the cabin from the rear of the cabin. So this is how the unit is gonna sit in between the seats. And the hoses are gonna run straight through that window right there. Now the way this AC unit works, the cold air comes out of these vents, then the air comes back through here. And the air gets colder and colder as it circulates. And it is 98 degrees outside, so we'll see. I have Thinsulate on that back window, bubble wrap on this window, Thinsulate on this wall, and now the unit is blowing straight into the cabin. Turn on the unit, turn the fan up all the way. It's on cool. It says it's currently 86 degrees in the van. It's already pushing out 64 degrees, and it's only been a couple minutes. I'm gonna let that sit for another 30 minutes and see what temperature is at. I did not insulate the back windows because it's not in direct heat, and I just wanna see how well it will do. So at the beginning of this test, the van was 86 degrees because I pulled it out of the garage. Within the first 30 minutes, the van dropped down to 83 degrees. However, there's a lot of heat projecting from the aluminum going window on the side of the van, and the walls were also very hot. Same with the ceiling. The ceiling was also pretty warm, although it is all insulated. So at this point, I added the rear window covers, and another 30 minutes passed by. The unit was blowing 62 degrees. Inside the van was just the same. And keep in mind, the sun is beaming directly on top of the van, and the van is like a tin can. Projects that heat inwards, which is why the ceiling still felt pretty warm. Another hour passed by, and the unit is now blowing out 60 degrees. The van inside felt just the same. However, I do think the van felt a lot more comfortable, a lot cooler, except my thermometer just did not say otherwise. And this is all to say that the van is not perfectly insulated. And at this point, I decided to put a thermometer on the outside of the van and see what kind of temperature the van is getting to. And after 30 minutes, I came back and it was saying it was 126 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a hot van. And inside the van, it was 83. And with the outside temperature being 100 degrees, that's pretty good. And at this point, it is currently 6:20 p.m. Sun is still strong here in Texas. So it is now 8:30 p.m. I walk in the van and it actually felt pretty dang chilly. Outside temperature is 93 degrees. Inside temperature is 77 degrees. Believe it or not, it actually feels pretty cold in here. The AC unit says it's blowing 59 degrees. However, the items around the van, like the cabinets, the roof, is still not room temperature. So all those items are still radiating heat. So cooling those down is going to be very important to get an optimal temperature in the van. I waited another hour and roughly a half. It's now 9:55. Outside temperature is 86 degrees, same as our camping trip. Inside the van, it was 72 degrees. So without the sun beating on the van and with half the van not being insulated, that's pretty good. The unit itself is blowing 56 degrees and the items in the van felt room temperature. Before I give my final opinion, I want to do one last test. And we are in my office. This office is almost always hotter compared to all the other rooms in our house. It is currently 79 degrees in this room. This is a 10 by 10 room, or pretty close to it, so this should be plenty enough power to cool it down. I went ahead and blocked off that vent to mimic maybe a scenario that y'all might be in. I have the hose going straight out the back window, and same with the drain hose. I am going to keep this fan on and just let the air circulate throughout the room. So I let that sit for 1 hour and came back and it was 78 degrees in the office. It feels cold and it feels much more comfortable. Then I went to work out for a couple hours. So about 4 hours later, it is now 74 degrees. The manufacturer says that this will work in a 100 to 150 foot room, and that is exactly where we're at. I have a lot of thoughts. Is it good for my particular van and cooling it down in the beaming hot sun? It does okay. It's not 100 degrees in the van. I can sit in the van and be semi-comfortable. If the van was more insulated, yes. If there were just one window, for sure. Having a well-insulated area is really important. Does it do well in the office? Yeah, it does very well. This is also meant for personal use. So while I'm working on my Tahoe or something, I could set up the hoses, just go up in the air or anywhere I wanted to and blow the cold air directly on me. I've actually already done that and it worked very well. And finally, I need to talk about the biggest con with this AC unit. The inverter, or what y'all might call the power brick, gets pretty hot to the touch. I contacted the company and they did say that they are currently working on an updated version to keep it colder. So we'll see how that goes in the near future. But ultimately, I am pretty impressed and happy with this unit. If you want to check this out, I have a link down below for your convenience. And this is Chris. Always appreciate and respect one another. I'll see you next time.